Hallo, welkom by die video oor Hemelvaart, Ascension Day. And for some of us it's Ascension what? So I really just wanted to make this short video on what Ascension Day is, why we celebrate it, and why so many Christians today will have a special time or a special designated allocation to celebrating the ascension of Christ. So very shortly, the history. First of all, we as Christians believe Christ is the Son of God, and he became human, and this we celebrate around Christmas time. No, Christmas Day is not the birthday of Christ. It is the celebration of Christ coming to earth, Christ being born. So that's where we start our Christian calendar now here, and it moves through there, through the times and life up until Easter, where we celebrate the core of Christianity. In Easter, the crucifixion of Christ, or passion of Christ, as some call it, the passion that God willingly gave himself to become human and then to sacrifice himself as the last offering for our salvation and for our freedom. Christ is crucified and died. And then we get to Easter Sunday, where we celebrate with great rejoice that Christ has arisen. The grave is empty, death is conquered. The next 40 days, you will see the church celebrating awaiting again. So past the suffering, past Jesus Christ sacrificing himself willingly, past his resurrection to his glorification. There's a 40-day period, and if you spend time with the journey that we had with at Southcrest congregation, where I spent the last month visiting, you would have seen in those videos and those that there were certain visitations Christ had with some of his followers, some of his disciples, calling them back to their love, their first love, their love for Christ, their love for God, and deepening that in a bigger, grander picture. This, of course, is rooted in Ascension Day, which comes today, the 26th of May this year, 40 days past Easter Sunday. So Ascension Day, essentially the story we remind ourselves is that the disciples have begun to gather outside of Jerusalem, where Jesus has appointed to them. And as they met around that space, as they gathered and prayed and spent time together, Jesus' last visitation to them was one that said, he is loving and he is caring, but he needs to be glorified, and they need to wait on him for a gift. A gift or a promise, some of the translations tell us. And this gift or promise is a gift that will bring God home to us, make God among us, fully in his presence. And that is the Holy Spirit, which is Pentecost, which most of the Christian church will celebrate coming this Sunday and the week ahead. An entire festival to celebrate the Holy Spirit and the aspects of the Holy Spirit and the working of the Holy Spirit. God that is in us, breathes through us, lives through us. But Ascension Day, Jesus meets them and he tells them, this is your calling. You are promoted. You are no longer disciples. In other words, learners. You are now apostles. So I am sending you. Apostles mean to send out. You are now sent out to the world from where you are, expanding to the ends of the earth, sharing my message of love, sharing my message of care and my message of salvation with the world, as I will give you a gift to go along, which we have mentioned already, the Holy Spirit. And then Jesus ascends into heaven, and they see him go up and into the clouds and gone. Here's what makes Ascension Day different than the crucifixion of Christ. They saw Jesus' body die and go into a grave, and that is a finality. With the Ascension Day, it is the exact same. Jesus is still leaving them, with the exception of one thing. He's not dying. He's going away with the promise to return. And so this living legacy goes on. Christ is alive. He's not dead. His body isn't found 2 or 3 days later. He's living and well. And he is our God. To connect with Pentecost, which is coming, is that is the Holy Spirit. So the disciples and the believers and the followers, they are gathering, and as they are praying and gathering, more and more believers are gathering. So there's a big crowd after all, and a lot of other people are wondering why these people are gathering. And for the next 8 days or so, I think some of the translation says 12 days, they are waiting for this gift. And then Pentecost happens. The Holy Spirit gets poured out on the disciples in the form of fiery tongues. And a lot happens after that. The Spirit takes over. Some speak in languages that they've never spoken. Others speak in their own home tongues, and people think they are drunk, and Peter needs to explain to the crowds what happens. And there the first, we call it the first church of God relates, but the first people of the way find their identity and their core as they move from that on in. So as we are heading into Pentecost and celebrating that Christ has not just risen from the dead, but that Christ is fully glorified today on Ascension Day, I do wish you a happy, blessed Ascension Day. Mag Hemelvaart vir jou kosbaar wees, mag God vir jou lewend wees, mag jy vashou in Christus se belofte van die voorspraak en van die liefde. May we always remember that God is in us, with us, together with us, as we celebrate this next festival of the Holy Spirit, Pentecost, the week coming. Have a blessed one.